destined for greatness. My name is written in stars, and I will give everything, all that I have to the cause. Fight against evil, run through the pain, battle it all, this is more than a game. I am a lion and I can't be tamed, it's how it was made, this ice in my veins, run through it all. No matter the odds, I will answer a call. The enemy knocks on the door. Even the greatest among us will fall, but the greatest will get back up. So I won't back down, and I won't give up, and I will act now, and I will stand up. They know that I'm here for it all. Rise up, no matter what's in my way. Rise up, I will do what it takes. I will keep on fighting. I'll rise through it all. Rise up, no matter what's in my way. Rise up, I will do what it takes. I will keep on fighting. I'll rise through it all. Rise up.
No matter what it is you need, you'll find it at your local Par-Mar store. From gas to grocery, snacks, and everything else you always seem to run out of, Par-Mar Stores has it. Need more savings? Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. You won't only see our stores in your neighborhoods, you'll see us in your neighborhoods too. We are proud to be in your town and proud to be a part of the community. Come see us at Par-Mar Stores, and remember, if there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Wilson Martino Dental. Did you know that 95% of our dentists have graduated from WVU? And many former players and WVU coaches trust Wilson Martino Dental with their oral health. The Mountaineers and Wilson Martino Dental. Yeah, we do that.
And there we are. Hello and welcome to Mountaineer Hardcourt Legends on this New Year's 2022, December 31st, 2 hours before tip-off for the Mountaineers. And how exciting is this? Boy, I tell you what, guys, sorry about letting you on late there. I screwed up, man. I went for the wrong image to get on there. I am just working all kinds of mechanical good stuff back here, and I'm just really fired up and thrilled and happy to have you here. And before I get started with the older ones that have been on, I'll start off here with Mr. Steve Berger. Bergs, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I love it, man. You're down where, in North Carolina right now?
Yes, sir. Right outside of Charlotte.
Right outside of Charlotte. And you were 87 through 90. You were there when I was there for football. And we had those magical teams, that magical year, 1988, man, where our games. And I'm going to let Darryl Prue jump in on this. DP, what happened in that 1988 season? Where you at, buddy? Hey, Tip, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Well, what happened, Tim, about 1988?
Oh, I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, you back now? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm not the only one who's screwing this up, man. I'll tell you. You know what? You gotta take that off mute, brother. I mean, I know that's a pretty impressive intro, but you know what I'm saying? I busted your chops, and I'm the one who screwed up originally. So, DP, how are you, man? Great to have you in the show.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to have my point guard on here. We had a great run, man. That last season when I played with Steve was magical. It was nothing like it.
Yeah, you were on before we came on live here. You said it had been 3 years and you still haven't had the ball passed to you by him.
Yeah, 3 times. He only passed it to me 3 times, once each year.
One year.
You got it.
Hey,
once a year.
And Big Tim up there, how are you doing, big man?
I'm doing all right. You know, it's staying home for the New Year's.
Well, that's probably pretty smart and a good idea because you get to watch the Mountaineers up front and center. Because obviously on Monday, we have to come right back at it for Oklahoma State, for those of you that will be attending. But this is really exciting. I want to wish everybody, and I'll let you guys do that when you get a chance, but let's wish everybody a happy New Year, a safe New Year. Mountaineer Nation, may 2023 kick off and be really solid for you, because I think Mountaineer Nation really needs it. And hopefully tonight is the first step with the opening of the Big 12. And DP, I'm going to go with you, buddy. What's your New Year's resolution here for WVU, Mountaineer Nation, and in basketball if you want?
Oh, man, I just want them to have some success. We had a lot of early success, and I just want them to maintain it throughout the Big 12, because it's going to be a rough and rocky road, and they're going to have some ups and downs, but I just want them to have a nice, successful year. Yeah,
absolutely. And Tim, what about you, man?
I think overall, I mean, obviously the Big 12, it's a tough, conference to be playing in. I just hope that they continue with what they're doing. They've been playing well. They've had some up and downs, but overall, I mean, I'm just was really worried about this whole transfer portal and what would happen with, the guys they brought in. And so far, I see, a great cohesion of the guys, as well as, like I said, last week when we talked, talking with Ron Everhart, he goes, the guys really like each other. So they're getting along. It really means a lot when you guys are when we, as a group, are playing together, that, that they like each other.
Yeah, how about that, Steve? Happy New Year. What's your thoughts? And what about that, these guys actually liking each other?
That means a lot.
It does.
When you got a group of guys that really enjoy playing for each other, you go all out. And right now they are playing well. They're playing hard, and they are doing the right things. So right now, but once you start getting into league play, everything changes, because the schools, they start to fill up right after Christmas. The crowds get larger. Your eyes get bigger. Your legs start to shake a little more. But I'm looking forward for them to have a great year. It's time for them to have a great year.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. And, I feel like when it comes to the Big 12 now in basketball, it is, when it goes to football, it's like the SEC in football, because the ratings and the respect that the Big 12 gets is really pretty amazing. And looking here at the average NET rankings, you can see here that, the Big 12 is the top 52. All of them are top 52. The average is 30.6 in the NET. That's a lot of respect, Tim. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like I said, this conference has always been a difficult conference to play in. I think it's more difficult for West Virginia because of the travel that they have to go through, and I think that's been a part of the downfall of it. And also, even. I was watching the video from Huggins as far as, slapping us on ESPN Plus and the covers and everything else. I don't think we get the respect that we should get in the Big 12.
Really? Well, what about you, Steve?
I agree with that. Even when they first got into the conference, I was thinking, wow, that's a long way to travel, to go play and constantly have to be off 3-4 days a week traveling. But I think that they've settled in. It's time for them to go. It's time for them to go. I think they're going to be all right.
DP, that really brings it up, and Hugs has said it for a few years now since we joined. When you get to take this trip like it is right now, your first road trip, and you get to back it up to a Monday night, maybe that helps a little bit because you haven't been in classes. But when you have 2 road trips in a week out there, football is no big deal, right? That's once in every other week. This is classes, travel, everything's a hassle, man.
Yeah, it takes a toll, especially near the end of January. You got a game today, then you got to turn around go Monday. I think the next game is Thursday or Saturday. So it's a tough stretch for WVU and and conference play. This is what really shows you who has a lot of toughness or not.
I was listening to the Bob Huggins conference yesterday, and I thought it was really funny when I was there listening to him. They were asking, like, well, how did the guys do? Because they had to go over to the coaches' houses because of the weather conditions. So they weren't able to get home for the holidays. And this is big old Huggy Bears response.
Fine. I mean, you know, we don't have a whole bunch of 18-year-olds. We got some grown-ass men. They're fine with taking care of themselves.
Sorry, everybody. That's supposed to be a PG show. That wasn't us. That was.
Wait a minute. That's still PG, brother. Okay, but last time I checked, Bergs, and I haven't seen you in person in a while. Last time I checked, you were a grown-ass man. Okay, and I was wondering, what's your thoughts on that? Being is that they didn't get able home for the holidays, but they are older. This is a point that Hugs was making, that this team is different because of the maturity.
I think that means a lot. It is a hard time of the year because some people don't get to go home, and that's understandable. But when you have older juniors and seniors and an older group of people that understand the commitment that it does take, it's going to help them in the long run because you become closer as a unit because you are together more instead of people going their own ways and going home to this house, going home to that house. Everybody's together, and you learn more about each other and you appreciate each other, not only off the court but on the court.
What do you say to that, Tim?
No, I mean, I went through it. I think I missed a couple Christmases when I was up there where I didn't get to go home, and sometimes I was glad not to go home. I mean, there's some family members you just don't want to see sometimes, but it was the fact that I think Larry and who else? I mean, even Hugs took in some players too because of travel and everything else with the weather conditions. So, I mean, that's what the coaches do.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Darryl, when I think about the stories you told me, the time you went down to see old Herbie Brooks down there in southern West Virginia, going and hanging out with your buddies, what happens?
I mean, it creates a bigger bond than just basketball. I think, even with the coaches, sometimes, you just coming to the practice and the guys is, getting yelled at and getting fussed at, getting told what to do. But then when you go over to someone's house and eat, it's a little bit a different atmosphere. I think players respect that a lot, and they see a different side of the man that's coaching them.
How about if you see a dead possum on the road and an AP possum?
Steve, no, I wouldn't go home with Herbie back then. Herbie talk about eating possum.
I know that's right.
Yeah, Steve said he didn't eat that stuff. I wouldn't go home.
No, not me. Herbie would have squirrel, possum. You ain't know what was on the plate.
Yeah, all you do is it tastes a little gamey.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, seriously. Now, Tim, the team just hit top 25, both in the AP and the USA coaches poll. I'm looking at this: they're 42nd in defensive efficiency, 21st in offensive efficiency. How important is this to start off Big 12 play, ranked in the top 25, and have your numbers back that up with the analytics?
I've got just a feeling about this whole ranking system. As a player, when I was there, and we were ranked at one time, I think number 6 in the country and all that, rankings don't matter. It's at the end of the season what matters. And these rankings, there's so many rankings coming out of different polls and everything else. I think the fans get more caught up in that, they got to look at the way the guys are playing, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
What about for you, DP?
Yeah, when I was coaching at Georgetown in the Big East, we got in the top 25. We got knocked out of the top 25. Then we came back into the top 25. But we finished strong and, end up getting to the Final Four. That's what's going to happen. I mean, you got too many good teams in the Big 12 for not to run through it. It's up and down like in the old Big East with Syracuse, Georgetown, West Virginia. You had too many great teams, Virginia Tech that was in there at the time. It was too many great teams, and you're going to have some time. You got to be on top of your game, and it's hard to be on top of your game all the time. And, just going through the Big 12 is the same thing. You got TCU, you got Texas, Kansas. So you're going to have some ups and downs. It's, just like Tim said, what it matters is what happens at the end.
All right. So Bergs, when I look at it, and I always thought it was better to at least be ranked when you started out, because if you really do have a successful season or you're hovering around some really good play, that can only keep you up there and launch you into there being used to playing some really tough, important games.
Well, I think the rankings, I think it's more for the individuals or the schools. And I'm saying that because as you can walk around and say, oh, I'm in the top 20 or I'm in the top 25. But when it comes down to it, it don't matter. Like come playoffs and come, time for tournaments, it don't matter if you number 1 or you number 521. If you don't come to play that night, you can get beat. So it's just a matter. A lot of times you get ranked and you play a team that's not ranked. You don't play to your ability. You play down to what you're playing against. But if you're not ranked, you seem to play every game because you're trying to get ranked. So sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad.
Yeah, like go back to when we played, we had that 22-game winning streak. We started the year off a little rough. Then we started winning. Then we got ranked. And all of a sudden, everybody's game was our game. Everybody wanted to get up for us. And then like, oh, man, you got to get up for that. Yeah, you got to get up for that game. We're not even in the playoffs yet. So it's like, the double-edged sword.
I think back in '82, we had the longest winning streak in the country of 23 games. And then we roll into Rutgers, and Rutgers beats us. So, everybody wants us. It's like I said, these rankings are just, I think it's more for the fans than it is for the players.
Right.
You can't get lost in it as a player.
Oh, key thing. They had the longest winning streak in West Virginia history. We got them. We beat their winning streak. I think they had 21 and we had 22. I think
we have 23.
Do you have the article for that? Can you prove that? Can you prove that?
Oh, that was one of my things at the beginning of my senior year. I wanted to get their record. I think we got it.
All right. Let me get this read over here, boys, for our sponsors that we love. Like Parmar Stores. They have over 200 stores in 5 states: West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. And they have well over 200. They keep opening up more and more stores. And if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be one soon. And then, of course, we have Dan Cava Toyota World. Shop the world. Your Toyota dealer in Fairmont, West Virginia. 2 of our favorite sponsors of our 4. We love them with all we have because this is the legends and they're legendary companies. So with that being said, let's move on now. Let's talk about Tim. Start off with Stony Brook. We talked before the game and said, well, this is a tough time. Guys are worried about travel. Could be a trap game. What did you come out of it seeing when you look at it? What did you see?
Overall, I mean, the first half, they played weak. They really did. They didn't shoot the ball well. They're shooting, at 34%. And then finally, for the first time, I saw a team come out, West Virginia team come out, which we didn't see last year, that really got it together to win the game. Where they shooting 50%, almost 7% from the 3-point range. We haven't seen that in a long time, which I was glad to see. Usually we start out strong and then finish kind of weak from last year.
Yep. What about you, DP?
Yeah, I called it. I just knew it was going to be a trap game. One of those games, everybody ready to go home. Emmett Matthews is not playing, so it's the second game he didn't play. At least he wasn't surprised, but still he's a big key to that. But the other guys stepped up and kind of, running through, mud in the first half, and then they picked it up in the second half.
Well, they did what they had to do, right? And that's a sign of what good teams do against lesser opponents when they're not inspired. That's the way I've always thought about it. I never preached that to my youth when I was coaching them at the time. But afterwards, I'd be like, you know what? Okay, they got it done. They did what they had to do. Probably not the greatest game. Hugs was probably not inspired to go out and coach another 1,000 games. But I will say is that they did get the W. And Burns, with that being said, then, they're averaging 81 points per game, and I'm talking about Mountaineers. 50% or higher in 3 of its last 4 games, and in 6 of the first 12. Imagine the total of all in 33 games last season. Big 12 starts. Is there any way that can maintain?
You would like to think so, but like I said, the games get tougher because the competition gets tougher because now you're in conference play. So every game matters. You're not playing a lot of the non-conference scheduled games. Every game and every team that you play is coming to get you because they're trying to get to the Big 12. They're trying to get that seeded. So, yeah, I'm going to say no. How about that?
What about you, Tim? What about you, Tim? Go ahead.
It's a different level in the Big 12. It really is. I mean, with the conference, what they played prior to the conference play, there's been some tough games, and West Virginia looked good. Obviously, Purdue's playing very well. They lost, but when they lost Purdue, they're probably the only ones who lost by as far as the minimal points that anyone's lost to Purdue. So I think there's a lot of good things coming out of this team. And I think, as far as what Huggins said about his team being, more mature because where they came from, what they saw. I mean, he talked about earlier, I think, about Stevenson, what came from 3 different colleges. So he knows. And, I think Stevenson is going to be a big key point to West Virginia's success in the Big 12.
Excellent point. Now, Dave, I retweeted a tweet from Fran Fraschilla who said that, when he was a coach, he talked about a gauntlet, and it was about a number of games that were coming up. He's saying that the whole Big 12 is a gauntlet. What's your take, man?
Yeah, I mean, like they a lot of teams, so then you got a lot of different places you got to go to travel, to pick it back off of what Steve and Tim said, it's, this time of year, in league play, everybody knows all your secrets, all your little plays and this and that. So now, we got 10 games of tape now to see how West Virginia plays and how the players play. So that, it's a lot of studying. So now these guys are going to have to do something a little bit different. I play a little bit tougher because the competition they're going to play against is going to be a lot tougher, and people will know their every move.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go back to the Huggy Bear there, and he said, it was asked a question, I should say, that, do you know your team now that you're heading into the Big 12?
There are a bunch of guys that have come from different ways of doing things. Eric's been at 3 different schools, so, we're trying to get those guys to understand what we want done. And, the same way really with all of them. I think that, the one guy that knows what's going on is Emmett. Haven't been here for 3 years. I think Trey's kind of the same way, but they're getting better and better. I think probably in the last week, I think those 2 guys have improved tremendously just in their understanding of what we want done.
Okay, Tim, so you had mentioned earlier that you thought Stevenson was going to be a big, cog in the whole offensive and defensive team scheme. And Hugs included him in that and talked about Trey and with Emmett. Obviously, this is a team that you're just trying to bring together. But, Kansas State's no difference. They have 2 starters returning from last season, and they have 3 new ones, and they're 11-1. So what's your take?
No, they're pretty much were in the same boat as West Virginia when it came to the transfer portal with all the guys that came in. So there's a total reorganization with those guys. I just think that West Virginia has gelled better with the transfer portal, with the guys that are coming in right now, and working together. So I don't know. My gut is, as far as I think West Virginia's got a better bench. They got a better starting 5 than Kansas State does.
What about you, Bergs?
Definitely. I was watching some of the film, and like I said, it's going to take time, and all teams are going to get better. West Virginia is going to look better the second time that they play Kansas State, and also vice versa. So it's just a matter of, the detail that they need to take care of in practice. And that's what it's going to come down to. Like Prue said, everybody knows what you're going to do. But in every system, everybody knows it. But I should know it a lot better than you know it. And if they can take care of that, they can get through the season. So practice is where they're going to have to pay attention to that detail. They can get over that depth chart.
And that's why I brought a guard on the show, because I knew the intelligence, the factor is going to go way up, man. Breaking it down. Very good, Bert. Very good.
He wasn't the playmaker, Dale. I was the playmaker. All the time, man.
Hey, he was like Noel, man. He was assistant.
I was the one
Daryl,
getting all the guys, getting them guys open.
You were the foul king.
Yeah, the foul king, and I was an assist king too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Prue. All I had to do was make sure you had the ball. That was it. That was my job.
All right, Dave, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Keidrian Johnson, he's going to have a big tail against Noel tonight, a big task, I should say. What do you think that he brings to the whole thing with Keidrian? I mean, I'll even play a little bit of clip here I put out on him and see what you think. But what's he got to do tonight to be successful against Noel? With so many assists, and he's just a guy scoring 14 points.
Yeah, he has a little bit of practice playing a tough guard like that when they play against the UAB. But this guy's different. This guy gets in the lane to get assists. He can score. You know, he just puts a lot of pressure on your defense. Talk about Noel from Kansas State. But the person I'm worried about is Johnson. Johnson came from Florida. I mean, he was a very high recruited guy. And, like, when I'm watching him play, it's like we don't have anybody like him. He is he's a bull. He can score on the outside. He's very tough. And I just hope we can match his physicality and not get in foul trouble with him and Trey. But I think Johnson already has some experience guarding a guy like this. That's why you probably play at UAB early in the year. They prepare you for conference play against a guard like Noel. But Noel is very dynamic. You know, he's not shooting a lot of threes, but he can shoot a three. He can get in the lane, make plays, and he hit shots.
Tim, let me ask you this. Keidrian, is this task going to be all year long to take out their best guard, their best player in the backcourt?
You talking about Noel?
No, Keidrian, yeah. Well, Noel tonight, yes. But is that going to be, is that going to be his role for the season?
I'm not sure about as far as him, but as far as taking out Noel, I think I feel pretty good about maybe Toussaint or to come off the bench, or Wilson to knock down Noel. As far as Johnson, I'm hoping Matthews gets in the game. I think Matthews could be a good matchup with Johnson.
I think that's what they're planning on, is that the match up there with Johnson. But let's go ahead and play this and see what you think.
You shake your head.
Dell's All-American. He was the best player Florida had. Actually, when he went down is really when they really struggled. And he can shoot it, and he can bounce it, and he can pass it.
Talking about, obviously, here you got Keontae Johnson. Now, he's averaging 18 points a game, 7 boards. He is all over. He is physical. And I think you're going to have Emmett is going to be the only one that can really match up. He's 6'6", 230 pounds. You heard Hug say he can dribble it, put it on the floor. He can rebound it. He can out-hustle you. He can out-muscle you. And he can out-shoot you. Birds.
Well, anytime you get somebody that's out-hustling you, you got a problem. Especially when he can score, he can do all the intangibles that need to be done. If he's playing a lot harder than what you're playing, of course, he's going to get where he needs to get. He's going to score when he needs to score. He's going to do everything he needs to do for his team. So when you preparing yourself to play against somebody like that, you have to make sure that your intensity is up. Because if your intensity is up, the Darryl Prues and all those guys, their intensity is going to be the same. So now everybody's going to start playing a lot harder. So who's ever playing him is going to have to know that he can go inside, he can go outside, he can do it all. So they're going to have to play him honest, but play him hard and get on his nerves all night long.
Okay. And we talked about Noel and you talked about Johnson, but the two together, I think, is the most difficult. And let's just go ahead and listen to what Hugs has to say.
Out of the little fella's hands, because he's the one making the passes. He's the one penetrating with the ball. He's the one drawing defenders, and he's a terrific passer.
as you keep on looking at him here, he is going to take it to the court. He is going to make passes. But the one thing I've noticed in film, and you guys tell me if this is true, DP, I'm going to start out with you. Is he making more turnovers right now than the normal point guard, or is it just because everything comes off of him that is just a higher number because he plays the most?
Well, he probably had the ball in his hand most of the time. As you see, every time he comes down court, he's always starting to play. He's running a break. So I'm sure he's a primary ball handler. I didn't see other people handling the ball as much. And plus, they do a lot of pick and roll action at the top of the key. So he's trying to drop passes to guys. Guys are dropping it also. So that turnover goes to him. But, his turnover rate doesn't bother me because he has a ball in his hand like 95% of the time on offense.
Mm-hmm. And he's averaging 14 points a game, 8 assists, which is pretty huge. Bergs, looking at him, he's 5'8", 160. You got to defend him. How are you going to defend him?
Well, it's been a long time since I had to think about something like that. But really, when you're defending someone that's like that, you have to. The game has changed so much. You can't use your body. You can't use your hands the way we were able to do it. So you're just going to have to try to deny him the ball as much as possible. But when he does, you have to crowd him, because if you don't, if he get that first step around you, he's either going to get around you, and then somebody else is going to have to pick up. It just creates havoc. So you got to keep him honest, keep him in front of you, make sure he's not, just disrupt everything that he wants to do.
Excellent. Go ahead, D.
Yeah, I would use length against him. The guy's a little taller, and not get too close to him so he can roll off of you. Make him shoot over top of you. And just like Steve said, keep him out the lane. I think being off of him, not being close, he's really quick. So I think backing up a little bit and see if he's the shooter that, we think he's not. If we make him kill us from the 3-point line, I don't think he has that consistently 3-point shot in his game. But make him more of a think about backing up off of him. Sometimes when we play guys close, that's what they want to do. They want to get off, get those little pick and rolls, get the advantage. And I think going under screens for him would be much more efficient.
Tim, I was showing the video there. I was showing a lot of passes to Johnson. Now, I failed to mention Johnson is shooting 46% behind the 3-point arc. 46%, and he's 58% from the floor. With a guy such as, 5'8", 160, making the plays happen, is it better to shut him down before he can make a pass, or is it better to try to defend Johnson as tight as you can? Who are you trying to eliminate first?
I think it's a combination of both. It's basically taking Noel or whatever it is, and keep him tight, because obviously he's 8.3%, on assists, and I'm sure he's feeding it off to Johnson. But I think it's a combination of both, just to shut him down.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Bergs?
Well, penetration kills the defense. So if you get somebody that's always getting in the lane, his decision is his. Then at that point, either he can go with the shot, he can go with the floater. But as soon as somebody steps over to help, then he dumps it down. So it's if you can keep him out of the lane, like Prue was saying, and keep him honest, keep him out in front, your chances are a whole lot better than him getting around you and going and making the decisions from there.
Okay, Coach DP, what are you doing to shut down that connection tonight against Kansas State?
Well, it's like Steve said, you got to keep him out the lane. You have to be aware on defense at all times. There was a play, you just showed a clip. They got into a horn set, and the guy just went back door, and Noel just threw it to the guy. It's just a connection they have. Sometimes you just got to be, you got to be between the basket and the player. And, when he gets to going in the lane, you got to keep going with him. You can't stop. Sometimes guards stop when the guy gets beat and hope the bigs take care of it. Then they dump off to the bigs to get a dunk. So the guy got to keep going. I'll make him finish at the rim, see how that goes. And then after a while, I might have to play zone against them.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking specific defense. This is what Bob Huggins was asked what they have to do to get better. I want to hear your hits.
We're not near what we were in the past defensively, and obviously we're trying to get caught up on that end. You know, you can live with bad shooting nights if you can guard.
And so what he's saying there is obviously is that if you play defense and don't let them score, it doesn't matter if you have an off night scoring. And with that being said, what is this defense? And Tim, I'm going to start with you. What does this defense have to do to get better? How do you get it better, man? You've already played 12 games. You're 10-2. And you lost to number 1 Purdue, so that's a one loss, but to a number 1 team. So how do you get better at what you're doing when your offense is clicking?
Personally, I think that what I've seen just in the past, and also last year was even worse, was the bigs need inside help, backside help, cutting off the backdoor cuts and everything else that the teams have always been successful against West Virginia doing. So that's the biggest. That's what I see all the time, and the weak side help is not been there. You know, like I know last year wasn't. This year I see a little bit of it, but they need to pick that up.
Okay, DP, what do you say about it? You saw the video there, you saw the opening there, and how do you go ahead and get your guys better, thinking more defensive while at the same time maintaining your offensive edge? I think that's what I was trying to say, and I didn't say it very well.
Well, I think what's happening we've seen it every game. That high pick and roll is our Achilles heel. You know, letting that guard turn the corner and breaking down the defense. You know, sometimes they keep trying to go over top of it. I think that's a scouting report thing. So you got guys that can stop behind and shoot the three. Like you go over the top, but you got them guys that like to get in the lane. You got to go under that screen and meet them on the other side. And what's happening, they're getting hit and they're getting caught. And now they have to sit guard on the guard. And, so he's getting beat to the rim and it breaks down everything. I thought Jimmy Bell did a good job, especially at the beginning of the year, of not letting that guard turn the corner. And then when this Muhammad and the other guy comes in, it kind of drops off. So that's a lot of pressure for Bell to jump all the way out to the past the 3-point line, then get back to his man who's running directly to the rim.
What about you, Bergs?
Well, to me, it's all about communication. Defense is a mentality. And if they all come out with the mentality that they're going to play defense and they're going to play hard, the thing is, a lot of the times you make your defense your offense. So there's a lot of times that you don't even have to set up in the offense if you playing defense. You jumping into passing lanes, you denying passes, you're doing a lot of different things. But if you're just letting them and you're not dictating, you need to dictate where the ball goes. If the ball's on the left side, keep it on the left. Don't let them swing it to the right. A lot of things that, we learned back in the day that, that the simple things that still should be done today that we just totally forget because the athletes are more athletic now than what we used to be. So it's just a matter of
shaking the head.
Not like to think so. We were smarter. They were more athletic. How about that?
I wasn't that athletic, but I ain't gonna agree with that statement.
Well, I mean, yeah, right. We were more fundamental. These guys now, they jumping over. What'd you say?
I think the biggest.
No, I don't care if it's about talent. It's about fundamentals, which is not being done today.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about. Stevenson been at 3 different schools. So he had 3 different ways of learning stuff. Trey Mitchell come from somewhere else. The only one that's been here is Mitchell. We had we've been together, how many years we played together, Steve? 3 years. We know what Cali won. I was there 4 years. Right. You know what I mean? So we know what he wanted. And that's what Huggins was saying in one of his press conferences. We got to get these guys to the level where we, they play the way we want them to play. People want to play the way they want to play and not play the way, to play together to win his game, win games. Sometimes you get, you blow out some of these little lesser teams, but you play these Kansas States of the world, the TCUs, the Texas, you got to be a little different. And in the past, they defended, not last year, but years before, like Javon Carter he was a 4-year guy. You know what I mean? So you need them guys that the buy in, they are buying in, don't get me wrong, but it's a whole difference when you have them guys for a year, 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. So physicality. Bob Huggins has said that he does not believe this team will have any issues. I shouldn't say any issues, but thinks that they can overcome physicality in the Big 12. And this right here, and Tim, I'm going to start with you. This is Kansas State, and you have Naquan Tomlin, number 35 there. He scored 28 points against Radford the last game. I mean, he put up some points there, but he's really physical, and he's scored almost 11 points per game. You know, it's not just Johnson, it's not just Noel, it's also these other guys as well.
No, I mean, our bigs, Bell, and I think from the size-wise and weight-wise and everything else, I mean, hell, you're talking about, I hate to say this, you're talking about Radford, But I think our bigs are better play against theirs. I don't think there's going to be any issue with that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Bergs?
I think so. I think we are more talented on the block, and I think it'll come out. I just think we're more athletic. He's long and rangy. He might block a few shots, but box him out. Do like Mr. Kearney said, fundamentals. Box him out. Do what you're supposed to do. Grab the rebounds and keep going.
Okay. All right.
But
Go ahead, Mr. Playmaker.
That's been West Virginia's problem all seasons, but getting rebounds. And now we're going against a bigger team. Now those guys got to step up. Bell, I like Bell. We'll see how tough Mitchell is. We'll see how tough Matthews is, because these guys they're gonna come bring it. They're gonna bring it. They're at home. You know what I mean? And West Virginia's ranked. So now we got they beat them. Now they might become ranked. So it's a lot that has to go into it. Now we're gonna see what guys are what they're made of.
Who's scrappier?
Who's scrappier?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to tell, but the way Coach Dixon he used to have on pit teams and in Big East, they was always hard nosed, scrappy, no nonsense, kind of like what Huggy does. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot of guys foul out this game. I think it's going to be a slugfest.
That's going to be the big thing. Is the foul trouble, because I'll tell you right now, and this is just my opinion. When it comes to the Big 12 referees, it depends on what mood they're in that night. So we'll figure out. It really does. It goes up and down with those guys.
Yeah. Also, it's New Year's Eve, and they probably try to get back on that plane too and go back.
I was going to say they trying to get up out of there.
Yeah, they ain't trying to stay in Manhattan, Kansas. So I don't know. I know I wouldn't.
Right.
But we're not talking Big Apple, right? Okay. So, Bergs, all right, let's move on to offense. We got to get this moving on here and get this done. So, offensively, they like to go ahead. They like to do isolations for Johnsons. They like ball screens with Noel. And, honestly, how are you going to defend this team in your mind if you were the coach?
Well, if you're having problems, like I heard Prue say earlier, if you're having problems with the pick and roll, you're going to have to try to do something differently. You don't wait till game time to try to fix it. So if it means they have to, I know they like to play the 1-3-1 a lot, to see if they see what kind of shooters they actually have. Sometimes the game going to dictate what you do. At the beginning of the game, they like to play a lot of man, which is good. You start off in man, and you just next thing you know, you come down, you in the zone. You're just going to have to mix it up, and the guy's going to have to realize this is what's going to have to happen. You're going to have to hedge when you need to hedge, and that's the problem. The communication sometime in there, and if they can get that communication right, the pick and roll is not as effective. Mm-hmm. But if they just it all comes down to paying attention to detail.
All right. So, Tim, what is your keys to success tonight to take a victory on the road? First game in the Big 12, get it going. A team that's 11-1, team that's been clicking. How do you beat them?
Well, first of all, I'll say it again, 4 points. But be consistent in the first and second half. We can't have it up and down. And the last one was stay out of foul trouble. If we stay out of foul trouble, I think we're good.
All right. DP, go ahead, man. What are your keys?
This value of basketball, transition defense. Kansas State like to get out and transition a little bit. Team defense, help side. We need a lot of help defense. You got to play together, stay together, and execute. They got to execute. You got to execute. When things don't go right, they got to still execute.
Absolutely. All right, Bergs, your turn. You are the coach, man. You get the last opportunity to say, all right, fellas, we go out and do this. We are going to be victorious tonight. You are Bob Huggins Jr.
Wow, I can't use language, but I'm pretty much just like I said, like Prue said, like Mr. Kearney was saying, they just need to continue to go out, play hard defense, be disruptive on everything that they do. From one side, because I remember when the Hug had them going from one end of the court to the other end of the court, playing defense hard. I mean, they just have to do everything together and communicate. And like they were saying, I think they won't have an issue.
I agree.
All right, Tim, with that, saying that, all right, what's your player to click? Who's going to click or players real quick?
I think, looking at Bell, Bell's really got to step it up. He's done a great job. If he turns it on, stays out of foul trouble, I think that's a big key to West Virginia. Stevenson, if he keeps it going like he did from last week, Matthews, he's kind of questionable. We'll see what happens after this injury. I mean, and then off the bench, like I said before, between Wilson and Toussaint, they may be able to step in and take care of Noel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about you, Bergs?
To me, I think the point guard has to set the tone. Try to get Stevenson off, get him some shots in. But pound the ball inside, get them big boys some opportunities, right, Prue? Get them boys some opportunities, get the ball and score and let them go inside out. And then run off of that. Once they go down, Mr. Kearney, you know how that is. You get that ball in the paint, you start feeling good. You got a big man that's feeling good. Hey, it make everybody else look good. So
I agree. I agree with that.
Just use everybody on the court.
Yeah.
Use everybody, make everybody do what they do.
Spread the joy.
Okay, Mr. Darryl Prue.
I think Mitchell has to step up this game. I think with his inside-out game, it's going to be very key. Stevenson, I like Stevenson, of course. Stevenson got to get off. And like you said, Toussaint off the bench. Toussaint got to be what Noel is, when he's on offense too. Getting the lane, creating havoc, making them guys help. So I think, those three guys right there are going to be big keys. I think Bell has been consistent, so I think he's going to consistently keep playing the way he's been playing.
Okay, and quickly, I'm going to say this, even though my pick doesn't matter. But I will say that Emmett Matthews has to play a whale of a defensive game, keep Johnson under, say, 12 points. 10 points, you keep 10 or under, and the Miners got a really good chance to win. Emmett Matthews on there. And I'm also going to say I like Big Trey, man. He's been playing well. I think it's his year. I think he's going to continue to play well going into the Big 12. Bob, what do you?
Smooth, very smooth. I like Trey. I mean, he's just a smooth player, and between him and Emmett Matthews, I like the both of them in the game together.
Absolutely. Okay, Bergs, say Happy New Year to Mountaineer Nation or your family or whoever.
Mountaineer Nation, it's been a long time, but I'd like to tell you guys Happy New Year. I hope your New Year is a blessed one. To you guys, Prue, Wolf, Kearney, it's a blessing to see you guys, and I appreciate you having me on. Happy New Year and more blessings to you.
Yeah, how about you, Tim?
Like I said, like Steve said, Happy New Year. I'm a big Mountaineer fan, always will be, and love watching the Mountaineers play, whether it's basketball, football, or whatever. Always behind y'all.
Excellent. Prue.
Happy New Year, everyone. There's nothing else more to say to all my family and friends. Happy New Year. Let's hope WVU basketball finish out strong this coming year.
Yeah, Mr. Big-hearted guy you are. I know how soft your heart is. It's funny how you didn't play that way on the court. But I want to say Happy New Year to all of Mountaineer Nation, all of you and all your athletics and all your wants and all your needs, all your desires. May 2023 be very special. and for basketball, especially at this moment, to go out there and have a big moment tonight, big moments for about 40 minutes and come back with a W, go to Oklahoma State. All right, fellas, we're going to be back here Monday night, 5 o'clock. I want you to join us. I'm not going to put you on the spot now, but I hope you're here, and you are more than welcome to come on. So, all right, that's it for Mountaineer Hardcourt Legends, the pregame. For Tim Kearney, for Darryl Prue, and now who brought up the whole game tonight, Mr. Guard Steve Berger. Will have a wonderful night. Be safe, everybody.
All right.
Prue,
Take care.
love you, boss.
Love you, boss.
All right.
See y'all later.
All right. Bye.
No matter what it is you need, you'll find it at your local Parmar store. From gas to groceries, snacks, and everything else you always seem to run out of, Parmar Stores has it. Need more savings? Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. You won't only see our stores in your neighborhoods, you'll see us in your neighborhoods too. We are proud to be in your town and proud to be a part of the community. Come see us at Parmar Stores, and remember, if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.